Redskins, man. New coaching staff, signing a couple of key free agents, and also Dwayne Haskins. So I mean, first let's talk about the addition of signing Ron Rivera and his coaching staff. What does Ron Rivera bring to to the Washington Redskins?
Well, I think overall the first thing that he brings is good leadership qualities. He demands out of his players that they play at a high level. He demands that at all times. It's something that we've been missing. It's a culture change. It's a culture change that we needed very badly. As you can see how the Trump Williams situation was handled by the previous regime, and just overall, it was just the slap in the face to the fans that the previous regime did give us. So, I think it's something new, it's something fresh that is much needed. And I don't think in the first year you're going to see a 10-6. Not saying it's not possible, but I don't think we'll see that. But you can clearly see the culture already starting to change within the organization with the addition of Ron Rivera.
So one of Ron Rivera's biggest traits that makes him one of the best coaches in the NFL is his defensive philosophy. So what are you expecting out of Washington Redskins defense? A defense that talent-wise looks to end up being really good going into 2020. So what are you expecting out of Ron Rivera when it comes to the defense side of football?
I expect a lot more discipline. If you actually paid attention to the Redskins last year, you saw on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the secondary, there was a lot of miscommunications. The front set was being ran by our former defensive coordinator was very vanilla. I personally don't know how he made it into last year with us. So, I'm glad that Minuski is out just for the fact of just watching the defense in general. There's so much talent that I think was wasted. Case in point, Savion Moreau. He's never been a spot corner. We played him in the slot. He continually got roasted. They moved him to the outside, and he thrived. So I think it's just the difference of utilizing players right and getting the most out of players is what Ron Rivera does. And I think we'll see that with the Washington Redskins, especially up front with the young talent of Ioannidis, Payne, and Allen. And you have Kerrigan, you have Sweat, and then you're also talking about, more likely than not, they bring in Chase Young with that. That's a lot of talent to utilize. And with the addition of Jack Del Rio with that, I think that the defense is going to hit the level that it's supposed to.
Into the thing about Chase Young. So with the second overall pick, a lot of people feel like it's a small chance that the Washington Redskins go ahead and they pull Arizona Cardinals and they draft another quarterback. So what do you feel about that situation, and how do you think the Washington Redskins will approach the quarterback position?
I think there is a 0% chance that there is a quarterback take with that number 2 overall pick. The reason I say that, there's people I've talked to that not outside the Redskins organization. I actually worked with the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I've talked to a few former football players that know Ron Rivera personally, and the odds of that happening are going to be slim to none. So it's basically what they've said is, think of it like the draft day movie. On that card, your Ron Rivera has on a piece of paper Chase Young, no matter what. It's a lot of smoke screen. The pick is Chase Young. There's not really much to that. I think the first 2 picks in the draft, everybody should already have it written down in permanent marker, because it's going to be Joe Burrow and Chase Young 1 and 2. After that, it's a crapshoot. But yeah, Chase Young will. I think it's about 99.9%. I'm gonna leave a little small chance for a change. If that small chance, there's a small chance for a change, it's not going to be quarterback, but it's 99.9% sure that pick is going to be Chase Young.
Now, aside from the draft, I'm pretty sure but the Carolina Panthers have put up Cam Newton up for trade. Now, the rumor going around is that the Carolina Panthers are finding a hard time to find a trade partner with Cam Newton, and he most likely will be released. So when it comes to Cam Newton, if Cam Newton is available, could you see Ron Rivera, his former head coach, bringing him into the Washington Redskins to start over Haskins?
I can see him bringing him in. Now, I did see a report that from John Kime where they said the Redskins would not go after Cam Newton probably about 5 to 10 minutes ago. With that being said, even with that being the case, they said that they would not trade for him. That does not mean if he's released, they would not go after him. But I can absolutely see it. If they know they can get this guy to bring him in to start and just to help groom Dwayne Haskins within the system, absolutely I would bring Cam Newton in to do so. So yeah, I can definitely see Cam Newton in the Redskins jersey. They want to bring a veteran quarterback in. They don't want to bring a veteran jag or just another guy just to come in there, a pedestrian quarterback just to come and say you're a veteran like the Case Keenum. They don't want that. If they're going to bring a veteran in, they want to bring a veteran that can truly push for the starting job. And the person that makes the most sense is going to be Cam Newton in that situation.
Now, it's another guy. We talked about this a little bit briefly, but it was also a little bit of some rumblings that the Washington Redskins could pursue Jameis Winston as well. And Jameis Winston is a guy he could push for a starting job. He has a talent. The thing is just turnovers. Could you see the Redskins bringing him in, or do you just think that's just no chance of that happening?
There's 0% chance of that happening. They haven't called Jameis Winston. They haven't looked into Jameis Winston at all. It's not going to happen. I think they'll try to go after Cam Newton. If they don't get Cam, then they're going to. I don't know who they would also think about bringing in. I haven't heard any rumblings on any other quarterbacks. I don't expect Alex Smith to be ready to roll this preseason. I expect him to be on the pup list again to start the season. Maybe towards the end he'll get off it. What I've also heard rumblings that Alex Smith might just transition to the front office. So it all depends. I'm not sure who they think is the veteran quarterback that they can bring in. But now, don't get me wrong, the quarterback market is very robust. So there's plenty of proven players that are out there that they can go grab as a backup. But right now it's very up in the air for that Redskins backup quarterback situation.
Okay, and the last thing is that I want to get your thoughts on the Washington Redskins free agency so far. So you guys have brought in former Bears offensive tackle Cornelius Lucas. You guys brought in Kendall Fuller. You franchise tag Brendan Sheriff, who is one of the best offensive guards in the NFL. So what are some key signings or key re-signings that you really like for the Washington Redskins? So what are some that you really don't like?
All right. So, first of all, everybody's been like, I can't believe they paid Kendall Fuller $10 million. He struggled with the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs, in certain situations last year, utilized him correctly. But in clutch situations, Kendall Fuller did what he did when he was first drafted by Washington. He made plays. So I don't know what Ron Rivera's and Jack Del Rio's plans are for him. I fully expect him, since they gave him $10 million per year, I fully expect him to be playing corner. People say, "Oh, well, you can rotate him to safety." They brought in Sean Davis, so I think Sean Davis, more likely than not, is going to compete with Monte Nicholson, for that that free safety spot. The tagging of Brandon Sheriff, it was much needed. It's something on that line that is a sure thing where because you don't know what's going to happen with Trent Williams. From talking with people, that Trent Williams market has dried up almost completely. The only two teams that could be remotely interested in him are the Vikings and the Browns. Yeah, the Browns signed Jack Conklin, but Conklin is the right tackle, not a left tackle. So if they don't get Trent, they're going to draft one at 10. That's about a sure thing. So the one thing I did hear, which could happen with Trent Williams, that Redskins fans can look out for, is if the market does dry up, The Redskins could probably guarantee him a portion of his contract, let him play it out, and if he does what he's supposed to do, there's a potential that the Redskins could pay him. So that is something that has been discussed, and that is on the table for the Washington Redskins when it comes to Trent Williams. But all in all, I'm not too mad about most of the signings. There's a lot of signings that have been, like the ones that they have made for the offensive line have been depth signings. And granted, the signing that they made of the Schwartzer, who's the guard that was with the Falcons, they actually brought him in. He actually could compete for the left guard job with Wes Martin. So there's a potential that he actually starts. The one person, they did go for Amari Cooper. They went all in for Amari. They did swing and miss.
Okay,
I did see a report. It's reported that people were not lining up to play with Dwayne Haskins. But I think Dwayne has the ability to succeed. So more likely than not, any other moves you see with the Redskins, it's just going to be wait to see until draft time, unless there's a surprise free agent out there. Desmond Trufant is out there still, and the Redskins are still looking into him. So there's any other major moves that you'll see, more likely than not, will be when it comes to draft time for the Washington Redskins.
Yeah, and I think the Washington Redskins had a pretty solid free agency. Trufant got signed by the Lions like a day ago, so that just happened. But I mean, you guys, I really like the addition of Sean Davis. I think Sean Davis kind of fits the mold of what you guys want your safety. Sean Davis, I'm a Steelers fan, so I know a little bit about this Sean Davis. He was a solid starter for us. I mean, he was a solid tackler. He was okay in coverage. I think he'll be a pretty good safety for you guys, a pretty good fit. And I mean, I really like Dwayne Haskins. I know his rookie season was a little bit up and down. I mean, when he first got inserted in, he looked a little bit timid, but as the season progressed, he got better in my opinion. So I mean, I really like what I saw out of Dwayne Haskins. And I mean, if you guys bring in Cam Newton, I wouldn't be upset neither. But Dwayne, man, once again, thanks as always for coming on the show, man, providing us your great insight, man. And we look to bring you on somewhere near draft time, depending on what happens with the whole NFL draft situation, man. So thanks for coming on, man.
You're very welcome, and definitely appreciate you having me back.
No problem, man. Take care.
All right, you too now.
Let's talk about the Chicago Bears. Who will be the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears when the 2020 NFL season begins? Nick Foles, who they recently traded for in a trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, or Mitchell Trubisky? Now, a lot of Bears fans were upset with the trade of Nick Foles from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I understand why, because it was better options at the quarterback position. You could have got Andy Dalton. You could have got Jameis Winston. You could have traded for Cam Newton. But instead, you get Nick Foles, who Jacksonville Jaguars were looking to get rid of because they didn't want to pay him all that money just to sit and be a backup quarterback. Now, in Nick Foles' defense, Nick Foles, before he got injured, and the opening season game for the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Kansas City Chiefs, he was really impressive. I was watching that game. Nick Foles was really, really good before he got injured against the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, he was dotting up that Chiefs defense, which improved in the middle of the season. At the start, it wasn't really as good as it was by the time they ended up winning the Super Bowl at the end of this season. But Nick Foles is better than Mitch Trubisky. That's basically what Chicago Bears fans are saying. And you can't get no worse than what you already have at the quarterback position and Mitchell Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky really struggled last season in 2019. I mean, he was missing wide open receivers. Not only was he throwing inaccurate passes, but I mean, it was wide receivers wide open, and Trubisky wouldn't even notice them at all. Wouldn't even look their way. So, the question is, who will be the starting quarterback for the Bears this season? And if I was a betting man and I had to bet $1,000 on who would be the Bears starting quarterback, I would bet on Mitchell Trubisky. And I'm not saying that because I feel Trubisky is better than Nick Foles. I'm saying this because the Bears front office, from my viewpoint, can't live with the fact that they messed up. It feels like the Bears are going to try to force the issue. That's what I think the Bears are going to try to do. They're going to force Trubisky to be the starter. And hopefully they pray to God, because that's basically what they're doing at this point. They're praying and hoping that Mitch Trubisky is the quarterback that they envisioned. Now, I don't know what kind of quarterback the Bears saw in Mitch Trubisky when they drafted him over Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, but I was screaming. I was a freshman, right? I was in 9th grade talking about how Mitch Trubisky should not be a first-round pick. I mean, the guy only started 1 year of college football, and the red flags were pretty obvious. And the Bears still took him anyway over Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. And the Bears fans know that the Bears front office and the Bears organization messed up when they drafted Trubisky. And I'm pretty sure the Bears front office understands that they messed up as well. But it seems like they're just hoping that Mitch Trubisky just somehow just becomes this great quarterback all of a sudden. And it's not really going to happen. But I think the Bears front office is most likely going to end up having all this propaganda, hyping up the quarterback competition, making it seem like the job is up for grabs. But I mean, in all reality, Mitch Trubisky is most likely going to end up being the starter come week 1. Despite Nick Foles being a better quarterback, the front office, I feel, of the Chicago Bears, I just don't think they can take a L and move on. And I think they're just going to once again force the Matt Nagy to name Mitchell Trubisky the starter, because they want Mitch Trubisky to play like the quarterback they envisioned he could be when they drafted him 3rd overall. And eventually, what I think is going to happen is Mitch Trubisky plays a couple of games. He still doesn't do well. Then Nick Foles comes in, and the Chicago Bears start to win some games. And maybe the Bears can make a late playoff push. Now, I know Mitch Trubisky isn't all that. And I know Nick Foles isn't all that. But Nick Foles is better than Mitch Trubisky. And I mean, for the Bears, I mean, you just need some consistent quarterback play. The Bears have an elite defense. They have a great defense, actually. I think Matt Nagy, despite how a lot of Bears fans get on Matt Nagy for his play calling, his inability to get a solid run game in Chicago and things like that, but I still think Matt Nagy is a pretty doggone good play caller. So, I mean, he was a good enough play caller that a year ago he was able to get Mitchell Trubisky and the Chicago Bears offense to score enough points that they could get the Bears into the playoffs. And the fact that Mitchell Trubisky was a Pro Bowler, I think even gives Matt Nagy more credit. But, I mean, I expect Mitch Trubisky, if I'm a better man, to be the starting quarterback for the Bears come week 1. Because, listen, the Chicago Bears front office, I just don't think they can accept the L and walk away from it. I just think that they're going to try to hope and pray to God that Mitch Trubisky becomes the quarterback that they hope he could be or can be. And I mean, Mitch Trubisky, he had some solid games, I guess. He had that Thursday night game when he went off. And I mean, it looked like maybe he was changing. Maybe he just had a mid-season turnaround. Then after that, he stinks it up. So, I mean, with Mitch Trubisky, I mean, it's just really frustrating. I understand the frustration that Chicago Bears fans feel. I mean, I have a Chicago Bears fan. He always talks about how it's so frustrating watching Mitchell Trubisky. It's just really upsetting when you watch Mitchell Trubisky. And, I mean, he's inconsistent. And then some games when he's on, I mean, he ends up being really good sometimes. He ends up surprising a lot of people, and then most of the time he ends up just not being good at all. Missing wide open wide receivers, I believe, week 1 against the Green Bay Packers. I believe Allen Robinson was wide open. I don't remember if it was 3rd down or 2nd down. But Allen Robinson was wide open. On the sideline, nobody near his area at all. No Green Bay defenders are in the proximity of Allen Robinson. And Mitchell Trubisky doesn't even look his way at all. At all. And I mean, gosh, the dude was wide open. Nobody in his proximity at all. And Mitchell Trubisky just didn't see him at all. Now, for Nick Foles, what the Chicago Bears are going to get out of Nick Foles, if he does, and I think he will, potentially become the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears, what you're getting a guy who is accurate. He doesn't turn the football over that much. And I mean, I think the Chicago Bears have a good enough receiving core, although the receiving core isn't all that. I mean, I like the Bears receiving core. I like Allen Robinson. I hope Riley Ridley starts to get a little bit more PT. I mean, I don't think the Chicago Bears wide receiving core is that bad. They have a lot of solid young wide receivers on the roster. But the wide receivers are being held back by poor quarterback play in Trubisky. So, I mean, Nick Foles, he may not seem like a large upgrade from Mr. Trubisky, but trust me, he is. I mean, if you give Nick Foles a solid play caller, which I believe Matt Nagy is, a solid offensive line, which Chicago does have a pretty okay offensive line. It's not great, but I don't think it's terrible neither. And Chicago is able to get some kind of a run game going, like they were unable to do for the majority of the 2019 season. I think that Nick Foles and Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears, with how good their defense is, could end up somewhat making the playoffs. And I mean, you gotta look, the Chicago Bears went, 8-8 with Mitchell Trubisky as their starting quarterback. So if they can go 8-8 with Mitchell Trubisky, I'm pretty sure they could win a lot more games with Nick Foles as their starting quarterback. Now, I know Bears fans may not be all that impressed with what Nick Foles did. I mean, you could argue and say that he won the Philadelphia Eagles because he had a great coaching staff, he had talent around him, and I agree with that. But if you give Nick Foles a little bit of talent, a solid play caller, and a great defense, he can win you some games. And I think that Nick Foles won't be the starter for the Chicago Bears come week 1. I think Mitch Trubisky will be the starter, not because I think Mitch Trubisky is better than Nick Foles, but simply for the fact that I think the front office is just going to force Mitch Trubisky to once again be the starter and hope that he ends up becoming the quarterback that they envisioned him becoming when they drafted him a few years back over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. So that's my thoughts on the Chicago Bears quarterback controversy. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content, and thanks for watching.